Hello and welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Emma Lingard. Well, we are here in the delightful seaside resort of Hornsea, and coming up later on the show, we meet members of the Hornsea Inshore Rescue Service. And we'll also meet this lady, Vera, who's flown all the way from Canada. Now, I'm here at the Floral Hall, which last year was taken over by the community, and it's recently been awarded with a blue plaque by the Hornsea Civic Society. Now, joining me from the Society is Secretary John Miller. John, we've come down to the Floral Hall, but before we talk about the history of this, but just tell us, what does the Civic Society do?
Well, the Civic Society in Hornsea was established in 1996, so we've got a fair history. We look at all the planning applications that come in, and we try to respond to all of those. Our intention is to make Hornsea a good place to live, and anything that we can do to help that is what we want to do. Our Blue Plaque scheme was introduced mainly because we thought a lot of visitors and even some of the locals didn't know that much about the history of the place. And Hornsea has got a fantastic history. So we've started our Blue Plaque scheme to mark some of the more interesting buildings where there's either a history to the building, such as the Floral Hall, or where there's a connection to a famous person. There's one or two places like the Bettison's Folly where it's not suitable for a blue plaque, so we put an information board there. And the intention is that we will produce a heritage trail leaflet to link everything in together, so that we can show the public around the town, and so that they'll see the best parts of it.
I would say Hornsea this is my first visit, and it's very pretty when you go down to the town centre, isn't it? It is a lovely place. So you talked about the planning applications. You're there, I suppose, to keep the character as well, are you?
To some extent. Let's be right, we're not against redevelopment, but the redevelopment does need to be sympathetic to the town. So if we can preserve old buildings, fine. If not, then new buildings need to be sympathetic.
Now, talking about those blue plaques, you talk about famous people. I did read on your website Edith Tolkien.
Yes.
His wife stayed here.
Yes, that's the first of the blue plaques that went up. That's on One Bank Terrace on the south side of the town. That was J.R.R. Tolkien's wife Edith and her cousin who actually stayed there whilst J.R.R. was posted at what was then the Hornsea Musketry School, which is now Ralston Camp, or was Ralston Camp, again just to the south of the town. Tolkien actually spent quite a bit of time in the East Riding, and there are numerous connections with him all over the East Riding, but that one in Hornsea.
It's fun. I mean, they do say in his writing the names of some of the places can be influenced, aren't they, by the East Riding, because there's some fabulous names. Now, the Floral Hall behind us, just tell us, what's the history of this place?
Well, there was a huge storm in 1906 which resulted in the reconstruction of the complete seafront. That was opened officially in 1907. The Floral Hall actually is a bit later. It was opened in July 1913. Originally rather smaller than it is at the moment, just the central part of the building, and built mainly of glass. But it was used as a venue for tea dances and music and all sorts of things.
And luckily it was saved from demolition then, wasn't it, by the community?
East Riding Council, who had run the hall, decided that they wanted to demolish the building and turn the area into a car park, and that incensed the community so much they did something about it.
And that showed the power of the people, because we're at a fantastic spot here overlooking the beach, and there's a cafe behind us. It's all rather nice. I couldn't see why I want more cars.
We couldn't understand that either.
Now, just the Civic Society itself, you're a charity, aren't you?
We are.
How do you
fund? A registered charity. We have monthly meetings throughout the year where we have a speaker. They're held at the parish hall on the third Wednesday of each month. and basically we have committee meetings each month, obviously, and we do what we can throughout the year. Yeah, there's a lot of interest in the town.
I was going to say, there is certainly a lot to do, and already I'm thinking for my own Rambles programme, when I get people in East Yorkshire say, when am I coming to the North Bank to walk and look at the history? I'll be calling on the Civic Society to help me.
We can show you around, no problem.
It is brilliant. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today, and it is a fabulous place. Hornsey is something to be proud of, isn't it?
We think so, yes.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, well, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Well, more history is coming up next, because flying over the skies of the UK at the moment are not one but two Lancasters. And I went to RAF Coningsby when Vera arrived in England after her long journey from Canada. Despite the wet weather, the crowds were in good spirits to welcome Vera to England after a journey of over 3,000 miles.
When we got here and realized that we'd done it, we had an absolutely eloquent, sensation of you should never take anything for granted. Because my friend turned to me and extended his hand in to shake mine and said, "We've done it." And I said, "Yeah, but the brakes just failed." So that is why you may have noticed we came to a stop out there. We could have come further, but it's just unsafe. My good wife, immediately to my right, insisted when I started in this business on only one thing, and that she just said, "Stay safe."
This is important because it provides us with an opportunity first to see a unique site, which is the only two flying Lancasters, flying information wingtip to wingtip. But actually, it's even more important for what they stand for and what they remind us of. They remind us of an extraordinary generation whose sacrifice and service knows no equal.
It was also about honouring those who had served in the Second World War. Many of the veterans are now in their 90s, but had travelled to Coningsby for this special occasion.
I flew in Lancasters. I was a flight engineer, which was a bit of a strange job, really. If you look at any pictures, prints of Lancasters, they're all going to have two pilots. But I think the trouble was they couldn't try and train pilots as fast as they built aircraft. So they had to manage with one pilot, and they put a flight engineer instead. That was the pilot's assistant, really. And that's what I did. You had to look after the fuel system, do all kinds of jobs, and you were just about able to fly the aircraft straight and level and keep on course, but that's about all the training we got.
It's tremendous to see the two of the aircraft together, two of the things, the homes in which I lived for quite a while, and thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. It really was a great experience, and it couldn't have been in a better aircraft than this one. They were tremendous, there's no doubt, and they still are, for that matter. I can still enjoy the music of those four Merlins rolling around. Makes all the difference in the world, it really does.
I used to put the rivets in and gun it, and the bloke at the back used to hold up, flatten it, more or less, you see. Well, I worked on the bomb doors, the undercarriage doors, trailing edge, ailerons, nacelles, and I loved it. It was the most gorgeous job I've ever had. At 16 years old, and I did 12 hours a night for 7 nights a week for the first 12 months until the production got going, and then they knocked the Saturday nights off. And did we have a ball when we had the Saturday night off, I'll tell you.
Well, I've come down now to Hornsey Inshore Rescue, which is an independent rescue service run by volunteers and run entirely on fundraising. And with me is Chairman and Coxswain Sue Hickson-Marseille. Sue, you have nothing to do with the RNLI, do you?
No, absolutely nothing, apart from we base our standards on the RNLIs and we have training exercises with them at times, but absolutely no funding or anything else from the RNLI. Now,
you were set up rightly, were you, in 1994, wasn't it? Just tell us, why did this come into being?
Well, we used to have a Coast Guard boat based here, obviously run by HM Coast Guard, and we had a team of volunteers there that used to go out and do rescues on a rigid inflatable boat, and we saved many lives. The boat was eventually taken away from us. I won't go into the politics of it all, but the Coast Guard decided they didn't need the boat here because it's a general purpose boat. We said, well, we do rescues with this boat. When is a boat a rescue boat? Surely it's when it rescues someone, but they took the boat away. So we approached the Iron Alliance and said, would you put a rescue boat in Hornsea? The decision was no, because there's one down the coast about 30 minutes away at Withensea, and also up north at Bridlington. Well, we wasn't happy with that because we've got a busy fishing community, we've got lots of visitors, and we needed a rescue boat. And we realised then, it came to our attention, that there's around about 65 independent lifeboats dotted around the country. So the town of Hornsea and surrounding villages and other towns, we got together and decided that we would try and raise money for an independent lifeboat, which means we pay for it ourselves and raise our own money. And within a year we raised enough money to buy our first rescue boat, charity venture, and we said if it saves one life then it's paid for itself, and we've done that, and we've been operating 20 years since then now.
I mean, that's quite an achievement, an independent. Cost-wise, how much money do you need to keep all of this going?
You're looking at around about £40,000 a year because of insurance, repairs, keep training. It all is a vast amount of money. Looking after the building, it's maintenance. It's you know, a lot of money, and it soon disappears. So it's a constant task trying to raise funds for Hornsea Inshore Rescue.
And that's the key thing. You know, you've said as an independent, you've got these boats behind us, they cost money, and I have to say the jet ski as well. You've got a jet ski. I mean, how do you use that for rescues?
Well, back in 2001 I went over to Australia and I did some work with surf rescue in a place called Mooloolaba, and it was absolutely amazing at how fast these vessels can respond and go out and rescue people, and how one person can launch actually into quite rough weather. As you know, we're going straight off the beach when we launch. We've not got the advantage of a marina or a harbour or a jetty even. So that jet bike again has been involved in many rescues, and when we get a call out, the jet bike goes first, gets to the incident very fast, very rapidly, and it's followed by the boat. And again, it's got the sled on the back, which is great for getting people onto to bring them to safety, especially with spinal injuries. And as you can see, it's a superb piece of kit. The crew have to be specifically trained on that, and again that costs money. So, but yeah, fantastic piece of kit.
Fantastic. Just down here, I mean, I have to say, this is my first visit to Hornsea, and I've been impressed so far. But you have got some fantastic views, and I imagine that the beach out there gets very busy, does it?
Oh, absolutely. It's the same with the East Coast. If you've got bad weather, it's pretty quiet, it gets pretty cold, but on a nice day, it's filled. The people all flock to Hornsea, and as I say, the beaches are packed with families that come along to have a nice day in Hornsea.
It is brilliant. So if there's anybody that's ever down here, they should pop along.
Absolutely.
Come and see you.
Come and see us. Our phone numbers are over. We've got a website as well. We've got a web page, Hornsea. I can't remember it, but just delete that. So we've got our website, and you know, we're always around, especially Sunday mornings. Pop in and see us. Come and volunteer, or do a fundraising event for us, which is absolutely amazing. Or if there's any restaurants or shops or bars, pubs that can have a can, give us a call and have one of our cans on your counter, because we really need the funding.
I was going to say, this is it. It's a vital service, and it's run by volunteers. You know, you're doing a fantastic job, and thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much as well.
Well, that's all from us here in Hornsea. We've had a fantastic time, and again, there's certainly plenty to see and do. So if you've got a news story, then contact us the usual ways via email, news@estuary.tv, or go on to Twitter or Facebook and look for our pages, or simply pick up the phone and call 01472 315 561. From all of us here at Hornsea, goodbye.